As Jack said, my name is David Jennings and I'm married to Trina. We have two children, Caoimhe 5 and Alicia 3. The title of my presentation today is called Climbing the Ladder of Successful Expansion. And as you can see in the slide there, it says there, no one can climb the ladder of success with both hands in their pockets. My story today is about when I took my hands out of my pocket. Trina and I are in an equity partnership. Sorry. Okay. Trina and I are in an equity partnership with Mark and Una Newnham in Carrigaline, County Cork, for the last 5 years. We both have pooled resources, land, quota and stock to form the partnership, with profits being split between both partners. I will now go through a summary of my presentation. First, I will cover an overview of where we were pre-partnership, where we are now, why did we go into the partnership, how we achieved it, our partnership details, our learnings and advice, the things we got right and the things that we do different, our conclusions and a summary. To start with, an overview of pre-partnership times. This broadly covers the period of 1999 to 2008, when the partnership began. While there are two partners in the business, there are three parties involved in the partnership. The two partners being Mark and Una Newnham and Trina and myself. The third party involved are Trina's parents, Reggie and Enid. I will start with myself. I grew up on a beef farm in Lepp in West Cork. After school, I did 1 year in Ag College in Clonakilty, County Cork. After this, I completed 3 years in the Farm Apprenticeship Scheme, where I qualified as a farm manager in 1997. In 1998, I spent 6 months in New Zealand working on dairy farms. On return, in 1999 up to 2008, I worked as a manager for Mark and Una Newnham, which leads me on to Mark and Una's farm. Mark and Una were farming 101 adjusted hectares of dry land in Carrigaline, County Cork. 110 cows were milked in a spring calving system. 120 calves and 120 yearlings were kept as either replacements or a calf to beef system. Some tillage was also done. The day-to-day running of the farm was largely my responsibility. Mark's role was in the financial side of things, paying the bills, doing the accounts, and so on, while also operating his own on-farm enterprise. The third party involved in the partnership are Trina's parents, Reggie and Enid. Pre-partnership, they were farming in Demanway, County Cork. They were farming 37 adjusted hectares. They were milking 60 cows in a spring calving system, rearing 40 calves and 40 yearlings as either replacements or calf to beef. This is a map showing the location of the two farms. The arrow on the right is the farm in Carrigaline, County Cork, and the farm on the left is Demanway. The distance between the two farms is 44 miles. Where we are now. Trina and I are leasing the land and quota from Trina's parents on a 10-year lease. We now own 27% of the stock in the partnership. These are the assets Trina and I are contributing to the partnership. Both farms, both quotas and both sets of stock are now part of the partnership. Profits are then split between both partners. This slide shows what each farm is used for. Carrigaline, being the larger, is used as a milking platform. In 2013, we milked 240 cows in a spring calving grass-based system. On average, 30 calves were also kept. The full management of the farm is now my responsibility. The plan is to increase to 300 cows post-quota. The farm in Demanway is managed by Trina's dad, Reggie, in a contract rearing arrangement. The farm normally carries 90 calves and 90 in-calf heifers on average. Calves usually go to this farm in April-May after weaning and return to Carrigaline as in-calf heifers in December. So why did we go into partnership? I had a good job, I had a good wage, holidays, every second weekend off. Mark was a gentleman to work for, and I was largely happy. So why change? In late 2006, having done the WCC course with Mike Murphy and Con Hurley, we started goal setting and planning. This really was where we started looking forward and things started to change. From that, it became clear that I liked farming and I wanted to remain farming. We wanted to be farming for ourselves in one shape or another. We wanted to increase our profits and net worth while maintaining a good lifestyle. Being newly married and knew that children would be coming along, we didn't want to get into a head-down, arse-up situation with no free time. After exploring other options, it became clear that we had an excellent opportunity on our doorstep. How it came together. At the time that we were exploring options, Reggie expressed an interest in stepping back from farming. He was 58 at the time and had milked cows for over 40 years. He was open to different options. Basically, he gave us whatever we wanted to do, he was quite happy to go along with, as long as his needs were met. We knew that this gave us the freedom to make his farm part of any future plans. After a lot of thought about which had the better option for Trina and myself, we could have stayed in Carrigaline, drawing a wage, working for Mark, possibly collected a percentage of the profits, or we could have gone milking cows in Demanway on Trina's parents' farm. So we asked ourselves the question, why not do both? So the idea was floated to milk both herds in Carrigaline and use the farm in Demanway to rear the young stock. This would be all done in a milk production partnership. The next question we asked ourselves, had we the right partner and the right opportunity? Having had worked with Mark and known Reggie, we felt this was becoming a no-brainer. For us, there was huge benefit in knowing our partners and also knowing Reggie prior to this. Broadly speaking, all three parties were getting what they wanted. Reggie was still farming, but now had more free time, while earning an income. Mark's income would be maintained at a minimum. His potential long-term labour issues were solved, as this would now be my concern. He was still free to pursue his on-farm enterprise, and he knew the person that he was getting into partnership with, which was very important for him. Trina and I would be farming for ourselves. Our profits and net worth would grow if I made the business deliver. The next part was crucial. Using a very good consultant was absolutely paramount to steer us through the paperwork, budgets, opening and exit plans, dealing with assets, and how to divide the profits. Having an outside third party was very beneficial at this stage. For us to lease the land and quota from Reggie, Trina had to do a cert in agriculture. Partnership details, how we managed or how we dealt with the assets involved. As I said earlier, Mark and I both pooled land, quota and stock into the partnership. The main difference between the two of us really was my full-time labour input. So how we dealt with that was that I paid a basic wage out of the partnership before farm profit is calculated. The machinery was purchased on day one from Mark, so it's now owned by the partnership. The next three assets, the stock, the land and the quota, these three assets were what were used to determine our profit percentage, or how the profits were going to be split. Basically what we did was the stock were valued on day one for both parties. The land we valued at €150 an acre and the quota at 6 cents a litre. So each partner was contributing stock, land and quota with their own values. And this allowed us to determine our percentage of what profits we would be drawing. As regards capital expenditure, the farm pays for any capital expenditure. So in effect, if the partnership was to dissolve over, say, after 5 years, there's still a residual value on that asset. We depreciate that asset over 15 years, so after 5 years, if the partnership finishes, there is still 2/3 value left on that asset. Then, basically, because if the asset is left on Mark's farm, he now owes us our percentage of what we put into that asset. Basic profits are then split. Our learnings and things we got right. There's a whole list of things I could say, but here are just a few. Some of just the important ones. Have the best professionals is essential. We had a very good consultant helping us to steer through all the paperwork, guiding us all along the way. I think without him, I don't think the partnership would have got off the ground. On the other side, we probably had the wrong accountant at the start. While this created a few problems at the start, we quickly got it sorted. Basically, it was down to he didn't have an understanding of farming, he didn't have an understanding of partnerships, and a long story short, he wasn't the right guy for us. Probably the most important thing, I suppose, is the next point. That should be actually nearly point number one, is dealing with the right people, and that includes your partners and everyone involved. Without the right people, I think it's a dead duck in the water straight away. It doesn't matter what assets you have or what you're contributing. If you don't have the right people, it's going to go nowhere fast. Trust and integrity and the right attitude in people are absolutely essential. This is something that, the next point, is that I was guilty of very much at the start. I wasn't looking at my partner's perspective in the partnership. It was right for me, so therefore it was right for everyone else. This is something that I've changed, and I think it's something that I now always do. I think it's very important. Something I suppose that I wasn't prepared for as well was the necessary skills for our new roles. That was probably relevant to probably all three of us in the partnership. We have new roles when things change, and I suppose the important thing is, are we ready for those? Just, I suppose, a classic example was for myself. The first full year of the partnership was 2009. We all know that profits were very low at that time, cash flow was very tight, and for me, that was a new role that I was in. I had to manage the cash flow, and it was a steep learning curve for me. The next one is keep partners and spouse involved at all times. It's very easy at the start when things are moving along quickly. There's a lot of decisions made, there's a lot of talking. It's very important to keep everyone involved, whether they're actually a partner in the business or not. But anyone who's involved in any way, keep them involved, let them know what's happening, and avoid any potential problems. Have an exit plan. It's very easy to start a partnership and things are all going well, everyone's getting on great, and everyone's happy. Basically, things change and evolve over the time of the partnership, so it's important to have an exit plan. It's not going to last forever, so we need to know how to deal with things if things do go wrong. Our conclusions. The partnership has allowed all parties involved to achieve a better return. This return can be in the form of profits, asset growth, or free time. And finally, I will just leave you with this slide. Maybe it's not very clear, but it's a picture of two guys out in the ocean fishing. There's a fishing line going down into clear water. All the fish are much deeper. Basically, the heading is look deeper. Great opportunities are rarely found at the surface. Thank you.